What are you guys doing? Oh, jeez. Hey everybody, today I want to talk about full board versus self board versus semi-self board for taking care of horses. So when you've got a horse or you're leasing a horse, you're going to have somewhere to take care of them, somewhere to feed them, somewhere to ride them, all those kinds of things. If you don't own your own place, you're boarding them. To board a horse means that you rent out a little space for them, like their own little apartment. Maybe they have a stall, maybe they have a paddock, maybe they're out in a field. Those are the main three options when it comes to boarding horses and the availability of places for them to live their lives, to get fed, to be watered, to just hang out, brushed. And then of course there's the riding, whether you've got trails, if you have an arena, if it's covered, if it's not. All of these things are important when it comes to boarding a horse. So talking about self-board versus full board and how that pertains to taking care of your horse means we need to talk about the connection that you have with your horse, if that means something to you, and the amount of time that you spend with your horse for the purpose of having them become your horse. Now, one of the things that I will say is I've experienced both. I've done full board, I've done self-board, and I've done obviously self-owned. We have our own guys here, and girl, and each of them has their pros and cons. Each of them has something good, each of them has something bad. Full board is the easiest of them all. You don't do anything. You kind of show up, you pay your money, you ride your horse when you want to, you brush your horse if you want to, you don't have to feed them, don't have to water them. Full board essentially says whoever is boarding your horse will do everything for them. They should feed them, they should water them, if they need blankets, they should blanket them. Not all of them do that, but they should if they need it. Full board also may mean that they go from a paddock to a stall to a stall to a paddock at nighttime, or they're just taken care of in the field and maintained for both food and water, especially in summer and winter when like it is now, it's freezing cold and the water's frozen. Is the water heated? Is it changed? Is the ice broken up? All those kinds of things. Food, are they fed regularly? Fed twice a day? Once a day? You know, you have to do a lot of research. I couldn't stress enough that if you're going to full board your horse, do research, get references, look at the other horses that are there, see if they're doing okay, they're not doing okay, the paddocks, are they clean, are they not, muddy or not. There's all kinds of things to think about. Full board, you pay your money, you just have a horse. It's easy. Self-board is like full board because you have to board your horse somewhere. You're using somebody else's property. Again, it's back to paddock and stalls. A stall being inside a barn, you may need to show up every day to take your horse from a paddock to a stall to a paddock, if that's the thing that you do. Or self-board maybe in a pasture. You know, it's not overly common because it's very hard to feed horses in a pasture separately, so usually those can be an all-inclusive and they're cheaper. But full board barns, stalls, things like that are not. So on self-board, if you are at a barn, you'll be feeding your horse yourself. You have to go there every day, you have to pick up their poo, you have to feed them, you have to water them, you have to make sure if they need a blanket that you put a blanket on them. you maintain their health. Nobody's going to do it for you. If you're really lucky and you're at a full board place, and the self-board option includes that those people are going to keep an eye on your horse, great. I haven't had that experience myself with self-board, and I don't know how prevalent it is, so it's definitely one of the reasons why we have our own place now. Because when it comes to the care of your horse, full board, self-board, having your own place, there are again pros and cons. So taking care of your horse, full board, you're hoping that the person will take care of them. They have water, clean water, fresh water, not frozen water, food, fresh hay, good hay that is good for your horse, hay that will help your horse maintain their weight. If they're under, well, they go over. If they're overweight, it might be up to you to exercise them, but at the same time, you might get lucky. You might find somebody who does low sugar hay, so you can have your horse fed a little bit special. Which doesn't mean that you can just go ahead and start requesting these things. You just go in and just ask about it and stuff like that for the full board place. The self board, you get to maintain all of that yourself. You store your hay there usually. You have a tack locker usually, and you do it all yourself. So the one thing though that's really important to consider doing self board or full board, in my opinion, and again, this is just one person's opinion. This is how I feel, the experience that I have. The people around me tend to feel. When it comes to full board and self board, the biggest loss that comes from full board, and it can be very almost serious, is how your horse might behave to little things that you do with them. And that can mean simply putting a halter on and taking it off, letting them into their stall, letting them into the paddock, letting them into an arena. Any one of these things can be wrongly done or incorrectly done for the horse. You may have a case where the person who is, maybe they got a helper, maybe they have somebody who's a little bit new to horses and they go to take the horse's halter off and they accidentally hit them with it, or maybe you know, in some cases you have them, they're out there, they're not as friendly to horses as you'd like them to be. They get very frustrated when the horse tries to walk ahead. Maybe your horse hasn't been trained to lead. So all of these things are really important to consider if you're going to have somebody else take care of your horse. If you're taking care of your horse yourself, it's all on you. All of the things that you do with your horse, how you lead them, how you take the halter off, how you put it on, how you take it from one place to another, all of these things will be completely on you, not on somebody else or somebody else's helper or a multitude of people. And in fact, I have a quick clip, and it shows how we like our horses to be when it comes to taking their halter. We don't want them just rearing their head up and then taking off on us. I've seen it happen, and it just looks dangerous watching it. But we'll very much expect our horses to be respectful when it comes to that, and they're not going to be afraid to put their head down to take the halter off instead of pulling it upwards. And these are things that self-board or self-owning with your own property, you can get to and then maintain in comparison to having a bunch of people or even one very poor person completely ruin. You come to your horse and you say, hey, what's wrong with you? How come I can't touch your face? We have a horse like that here. She's very jittery. The other two, you fall asleep in your arms. So, but a jittery horse, she's had maybe a lifetime, maybe not, maybe just a couple months of just really poor handling. And so she's worried. You go to touch her face and she moves away. So that sucks. So when it comes to full board versus self board, there's cost, there's maintenance of your horse, and then there's the connection and the lessons that you can teach your horse each and every day, each and every interaction, even just pulling this barrel up. I haven't done that. I haven't done it on ice or snow, like it's very crunchy here, and so they freak out. That's okay. I can work with that. So hopefully that gives a little bit of insight when it comes to taking care of horses. If you do boarding, full board, self board, semi self board, they got sort of a halfway point, and maybe it'll help you make some decisions, some thoughts, some things you didn't think about or did think about. Just wanted some encouragement on, or maybe it's just something that you'd think about. And that's about it. So hopefully that helps. Thanks for watching. and I'm gonna go work on this barrel with the horses. See how it goes. You can do it. There, just a barrel. Just a barrel. See, no problem.